V-Rising is an open-world survival game where you play as a newly awakened vampire, stripped of your power and forced to rebuild your strength. In this world, sunlight is deadly, blood is everything, and magic fuels your rise to power. You can build your own gothic castle, hunt down powerful bosses, and even imprison humans to drain them of their unique, juicy, high-quality blood. But the ultimate goal? Defeating Dracula, the immortal king himself. Across 100 days, I'm going to fight my way through the toughest enemies, master dark magic, and try to become the most powerful vampire in the land. Let's get up, get out of our coffin, get going. I'm alive. Waking up from my dusty coffin on day 1, I got my bearings and ran out of this crypt. Reaching the outside world, I came across a skeleton. After defeating this bony foe, I collected his bones, and in doing so, I had completed my first quest. You see, in V-Rising, these quests are basically going to be guiding me through the game, giving me new objectives to work towards, and in doing so, I'll be able to unlock new recipes for crafting and building. From this quest, I was now able to turn those bones into a bone sword. My next quest was to slay 3 enemies using my new bone sword, and to craft a bone ring. Luckily, there were 2 skeletons next to this coffin, so after defeating them, collecting their bones, and the resources inside of the coffin, I was now able to craft that bone ring. Moving on though, I found more skeletons to fight, and after defeating the closest one, I completed this quest. I was awarded with a spell called Shadow Bolt. This spell was an offensive ranged attack, and in one hit, this skeleton was bone meal. My next foe was this archer skeleton, so I dodged his first attack very casually and hit him with a shadow bolt. Doing this completed yet another quest for me, which unlocked another spell called Bloodright. This spell was a defensive protection spell, and with it I could deflect enemy attacks. With that part of my quest completed, the next part was to simply leave the graveyard. While I headed for the exit, I picked up several rats, which I'm going to use for a healing recipe called the Vermin Salve, but we're not there just yet. Anyway, at the exit of the graveyard, I was given 2 choices between East or West Farbane Woods to travel to, and since I actually had somewhat of a plan in mind, I decided on West Farbane Woods to start in. Entering the West Farbane Woods, I was awarded a juicy achievement, as well as completing my quest. My next quest was to craft a full set of this Bone Guard armor. However, I couldn't craft the full set because I needed rugged hide, which usually just comes from animals. And as if it had heard my call, this level 8 deer was just waiting for me across the bridge. Sadly though, he and I couldn't be friends, but I could use him to craft my new shiny armor. As I was crafting my armor, I decided to pick a fight with this level 10 wolf. After lowering its health, I was able to drink its blood, which was only 8% quality, but it also gave me another juicy achievement. Anyway, with my new armor crafted, I was now able to complete my quest. I had unlocked recipes for the bone axes and mace, and while I was crafting those in my inventory, this wolf tried to ambush me. But luckily, I was quick on my feet. After lowering this wolf's health, I drank his blood, since it was a higher quality of 31%. I had completed yet another quest, but before starting the next one, I decided to use those rats from the graveyard to craft vermin salves. These gross concoctions were actually a way for me to heal without using my vampire powers, which uses up blood. Alright, so to kind of explain a little more than I have already, just about every enemy in V-Rising has a blood type and quality. The blood type is like a general group, so for example, almost all of the animals are usually under the creature blood type. So each blood type does come with different abilities. For example, the creature blood type here had 3 to 15% movement speed increase, depending on how high the blood quality is. And the higher the blood quality, the better. And if you get one with 100% quality, you get all 5, or V, abilities, which is super rare and super important in the endgame. Now, the wolf I drank earlier only had about 31% blood quality, which is decent for just starting out, but I'm only getting a little bit of the movement speed increase, and I guess a tiny bit of increased sun resistance. Also, this blood pool right here does drain over time, and as I use my powers. But anyway, let's get back to our journey. For my next quest, I needed to collect blood essences, which come from enemies slain, and I needed to collect about 300 wood and stone, which was simple enough. Completing this quest unlocked base building, but for now, I had an objective of my own, which was to reach this point on the map to acquire a new vampire power. I like that your character's head like follows the mouse. Like, look at this. He's like my cats. He's like my cats, Jack and Peebs. Upon reaching my destination, I was greeted by Alpha the White Wolf. My new furry friend here was actually my reason for coming all the way over here. So Alpha is a V blood, which are the bosses in V Rising. And this overgrown pooch was level 16, while I was only level 10, which is why his name and health bar are such a dark red color. Not to be deterred though, I began my attack on this beast. I used every ability at my disposal. I sidestepped his lunging attacks and launched Shadow Bolt into his back. I would only get close to attack with my axes and sword when he wasn't glowing with this red aura. Otherwise, he would just bite my face off repeatedly. Alpha was even summoning other wolves to his aid, but they were no match for me. Using a few well-timed blood rights and stabs to the kidneys, eventually, I came out the victor of this long and epic battle. With Alpha on the ground, I drained its delicious V-blood. This gave me another juicy achievement and my new vampire power. This new power also gave me another juicy achievement and an additional 60% move speed while in wolf form. Anyway, I was now heading to one of my favorite starting castle plots. And by the way, castle plots are spots marked on the map for players to build their bases, but sometimes they can have monstrosities living in them, like this corpse pile. Interesting bonus that I get from this. Oh, nope. This disgusting amalgamation of bones and rotting flesh with teeth was infesting the plot I wanted. And by the way, it was so much higher than me in power that it literally just has a skull next to its name and no level. I tried what any good stubborn vampire would do, and I tried luring it off my future property. This didn't work, however, so I had to go back to the drawing board. So my next plan was to just ignore the corpse pile. I cleared a small area to build a castle heart. With that built, I put some blood into it, and the castle heart would claim this plot as mine, even with an unwanted guest nearby. For now, we're gonna call this corpse pile Terry. With my castle heart built and powered, I had finished my quest, and now I had unlocked foundations and walls to really start building a base. After placing down a 3x3 foundation and walls to protect it, I had completed yet another quest. Completing this gave me the wooden coffin, small chest, and mist brazier structures. After crafting the coffin and brazier, I decided to test how effective sunlight is against my mighty pale skin. So I'll just show you guys really quickly what happens if you stand in the sun for too long. Nothing's going on yet, but ooh, hot, 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 hot. Okay. All right, that's enough of that. All right. Obviously, not having a roof would normally be a problem during the daytime for a vampire, but since I had built this mist brazier, I was able to power it with bones, and that would create a protective mist over me and my base. And then I crafted 4 small chests, since I knew I was going to be hoarding a lot of loot soon. With that quest done, I was now on to my next one, which was to craft a sawmill. So I actually made 2 of them, and with those, I threw in some wood, and they crafted wooden planks. After a while, I had 8 planks crafted. I could now build a simple workbench, since it was a part of my quest, and it would be the only way for me to make upgrades on my armor, weapons, and structures for a very long time. Inside of the workbench, I crafted a full set of plated bone guard armor. Armor in this game is actually very interesting, because as you can see here, some of the armor pieces give attributes like this one, which gives plus 43 max health. Another cool thing is that some armor sets come with set bonuses, like the plated bone guard set. This set actually gives me 20 max health for wearing 2 pieces and 2 physical power for wearing 4 pieces. Remember that bone ring I crafted at the start? Well, I can now actually upgrade it to a blood bone ring, which gives plus 7 spell power. With that, I went from level 10 to 17. And when I say level, I just mean gear level, which is calculated by adding each level you get from your armor, weapons, and rings equipped. So each piece of plated bone guard gives me 2 gear levels, the ring gives me 6 levels, and the sword is 3 levels, since I haven't actually upgraded that yet. But by now my sawmills had actually created enough planks to upgrade and make a full set of reinforced bone tools and weapons, which included a sword, axes, mace, and a spear. With these equipped, I was officially gear level 20, which also completed my current quest. Completing that quest unlocked the V-Blood menu that I could use to track down more V-Bloods to continue to make even more upgrades. Keely the Frost Archer, Errol the Stonebreaker, and Rufus the Foreman. Now, Errol the Stonebreaker is the closest one. He is northeast of me. He is close. I actually know where he is, so we're gonna head over there now. As you just heard from me, my next boss would be Errol the Stonebreaker. I headed to this bandit copper mine, which was conveniently located right next to my base. This place was pretty huge, so it did actually take me a while to clear out all of the outside enemies. Also, something I really like about this game is that it really rewards you when you destroy all of the crates and barrels in an area. Unfortunately, I did pick up some silver coins, which caused silver poisoning. This debuff will slowly be killing me, but it was so minimal, and silver will be super handy later on, I couldn't leave it behind. Heading inside of the mines, finally, I found several workers who I had to get rid of just like the bandits outside. And then I spotted this one worker who had 46% blood quality, and not knowing the abilities of that blood type, I decided to give it a taste. Anyway, I headed further into the mines where I found Errol the Stonebreaker. There's a neat trick you can do actually with this boss, which is to just get him to use his aftershock ability near some resources, like I'm doing here. And that ability will destroy resources in the area. And you can actually just come in and pick them up without having to lift a finger really, which is always nice. Once all of those resources were taken care of, I decided to actually fight the boss now. I pelted him with my Shadow Bolt spell from afar, and then anytime he got close to try and pimp slap me, I hit him with the Blood Right counter. He even tried summoning some allies to help him with his fight, which should be considered cheating in a duel to the death, but honestly I felt so bad for him, I'm not gonna complain. I was also able to use my new weapon, the spear, on this boss, since it had really good range. And after several hours of toying with this boss and a lot of good stabbing to his face, he fell to the ground, where I could feed on his delicious V-Blood. You see, when you defeat V-Bloods, you always get something from them, like a spell point, a few crafting recipes for structures, resources, armor, and weapons. From Errol the Stonebreaker though, I received a tier 1 chaos spell point, a new storage chest, and some lights. Something else I should mention is that in V-Rising, there are 6 different magic types. This whole time, I've only been using blood magic, but as I just mentioned, I got a tier 1 chaos spell point, so I could learn something under the chaos magic type. Chaos also just happens to be my favorite type of spells. I'm going to use this one spell point to unlock Chaos Volley. Bringing back all of the copper I had gotten from the mines, I was now able to build 2 furnaces in my base. And with those, I was able to smelt the rest of the copper I had into copper ingots. Also, from looting the mines, I had acquired enough ingots to upgrade one of my tools into copper. So I chose to craft the copper axes, which would boost my gear level to 23. Sadly though, I couldn't upgrade my armor yet because I needed leather, but I couldn't make that. So I looked into my V-Blood menu and found this boss, Keely the Frost Archer. If I defeat her, I can learn and build the tannery to craft leather, which I also can learn from her. And now that I had a goal, I headed out from my base to find this boss. Along the way, I came across Lydia the Chaos Archer, who was level 30. I was a little bit nervous to fight her since she was much higher than me, but I did have a new weapon ability and a spell, so I decided to go for it. Luckily for me, her first ability was fairly easy to dodge. I say that even though I did get hit by it a few times, and it really did hurt because it causes ignite, but I digress. Anyway, while she used that attack, she was actually vulnerable, so I used that to my advantage to hit her with my new copper axes and my new Chaos Volley spell. And of course, anytime I tried dealing more damage, she would just go invisible, which was pretty annoying. After she had suffered enough damage, she pulled out a new ability where she would shoot these massive areas of fire on the ground, and they were pretty hard to dodge, while also trying to dodge and stay out of the sunlight. And then as I was about to defeat this archer, Alpha the White Wolf from the start actually showed up and tried to jump me. But once I drained Lydia's V-Blood, I got the heck out of there. I then stumbled into this bandit logging camp. This place was a loot goblin's wet dream. There were tons of crates, barrels, and enemies to take out and loot. Anyway, I eventually found this guy Rufus the Foreman. This V-Blood boss was actually super easy to fight because he uses a crossbow, which only shoots out 1 bolt at a time, and he also has to reload it. So I took any chance I could while he was reloading to hit him with my Chaos Volley, Shadow Bolt, and copper axes. He did have a rage ability similar to Alpha the White Wolf, but it was simple enough to stay in front of his shots. He also tried using this arrow ability on me, but I somehow dodged that, and an immediate net that he tried throwing afterwards. But just like that, Rufus was defeated. From him, I acquired a new blood spell point and a copper crossbow recipe, but nothing too substantial. Anyway, I then realized I had another spell point from Lydia the Chaos Archer from earlier, so I used it to learn the Aftershock ability. I then continued my journey to find Keely the Frost Archer. So these guys right here are the shady dealers, like the shady merchant camp right here, this area. These dealers give me tons of good stuff. I think the best dealer out of all of them is this guy right here. He gives you all the books in exchange for copper coins. So from him, with all these books, you can learn new crafting recipes. So it's really good to come back here after farming a ton of copper and spending all of that copper. After running all day and night, I finally found the bandit trapper camp where I had tracked Keely the Frost Archer. First, I was going to need to clear out any enemies nearby so that I could get this boss in a one-on-one, where I would stand a much better chance and not get overwhelmed. With that out of the way, I was now able to fight Keely. This fight was similar to my fight with Lydia the day before. This archer would shoot 3 frost arrows at me, which were kind of hard to dodge since they shot out in a cone like a spread, so I needed to get behind her somehow. I was able to close this gap between us with my new copper axe ability, which would just lunge me forward and I could attack faster for a short time. This boss also liked to go invisible, which is such an annoying ability, but let's be honest, she's gonna need all the help she can get. Her frost arrow abilities were all fairly annoying too, but with some well-timed dodges, I was able to continuously get close enough to deal damage. And then finally, Keely the Frost Archer was on the ground, and I was draining her V-blood. After clearing this entire camp, I checked what I had just gotten from that archer. And the most important things I acquired were the tannery, leather, traveler's wrap, and the empty water skin. With this goal finally accomplished, I started heading home. Let's get the axes. Ooh, trade with a shady merchant. Nice. And then I guess we can just unlock stuff, right? Oh god.
Can I interest you in a little something?
What did I just get? Shade Walker? Okay. There is something called a waygate up here. The waygates are how you fast travel. It's actually going to give me an achievement, I think, as well. So that's also pretty sweet. Alright, so yeah. What I can do is I can teleport. I can't teleport to my base just yet. That's something coming later, but right now what I can do is I can fast travel down here. Making it back home, I started adding onto my base. I first tried building 2 tanneries, a blood press, and the research desk, but I soon realized I just didn't have enough space for everything. Before I started expanding my base though, I decided to use my new books in the research desk to unlock new recipes, since this would help clear out my inventory for more building resources. Now this expansion wasn't much. Literally, I just brought it out 1 more tile, but it actually helped a ton. I was now able to move the structures around in such a way where I could just run between all of them without getting stuck or having to go around to something. With that done, I placed rugged hide into the tannery to make leather. I used some of the leather I had found on my journey to make a traveler's wrap, which increased my max health and would give me some sun resistance. I then crafted a full set of copper weapons, including the mace, spear, crossbow, longbow, and sword. And since I had extra leather on me, I went ahead and crafted the full set of Night Stalker armor. Heck yeah, look at this. We have an actual arsenal now. Hold on, I never really used the crossbows that much, so let's see. Okay. It's a little slow, but it's not bad. Oh, this is weird. Ooh, a tri-shot. Hell yeah. Wait, what was the crossbows? Salvo of 5 bolts. Alright, let's see it. Oh, that's super cool. And then the spears. 1,000 spears, let's see. Oh yeah, that's real stabby. The swords, I remember the swords really well. It's really fun. You just spin. It's pretty cool. Time for some new equipment. Oh yeah, look at my guy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, look at me. I look cool. This is actually sick. I love this armor. It's always like one of my favorite upgrades. I then upgraded my Castle Heart to level 2 in order to complete my next quest. Checking my V-Blood menu, I realized I never really looked at what I had gotten from defeating Lydia, the Chaos Archer. From her, I actually learned the Devourer, and Leather Working Station along with the Longbow, which I had already crafted, and a leather bag, which would increase my inventory capacity by 7 slots. I immediately built the Leather Working Station to craft this new bag, since I needed more space for loot. Anyway, for my next quest, I needed to upgrade my castle. However, I can't construct these new walls and floors without stone bricks. And I can't make stone bricks without a grinder. And on top of that, I can't make a grinder without whetstones. So, with all of that being said, I checked my V-Blood menu and decided to track down Grayson the Armorer, since he has the recipe to make whetstones. Oh, and as I was leaving my base, because I've upgraded, I can now see my neighbor Terry, the corpse pile. He's actually level 38, which is way stronger than I am, and I'm very lucky. Despite his appearance, Terry seems to be a good neighbor. Finally arriving at the armory where Grayson was hiding out, I needed to make my way up to him. This place is like loot heaven. There were crates, barrels, and baskets just of all sizes. The enemies roaming this armory were in groups of 4 or 5, so it was actually very easy and quick to fill up my inventory with all the goodies. Once I had picked this entire place clean, there was only one enemy left, Grayson the Armorer. And this guy was beefy. Since I noticed he uses an axe, I chose to try and use my crossbow to start this fight. Most of his attacks were fairly easy to dodge, except this one where he throws a million caltrops on the ground which deal damage, and they slow me down if I run into them. And this was not ideal, since his other ability was a charge, where he would just whack me in the face with his giant axe, or his other ability where he could just pull me in with his chain attack. So I had to use my dodge as much as possible, and only fire on him when I had an opening. Using Aftershock and Chaos Volley in succession also really helped here, since I was able to keep my distance from him. Oh, and I had to do this entire fight while in the shade, since it was still daytime, and I didn't want to become Vampire Barbecue. But for his last attack, Grayson pulled me toward him with his chain, and because of it, I was actually able to slice him up. So, as he was there on the ground, I drained him of his V-Blood. And then from this boss, I learned the workshop flooring, which I can use later, more types of storage boxes, and the whetstones that I needed. I then decided to try and track down this guy, Goreswine the Ravager, to unlock a new ring and crafting recipe. And then after hours of traveling through the woods, I finally found Goreswine. Goreswine constantly summoned this green circle of death on the ground to try and hurt me, but luckily for the most part, they're actually very easy to dodge. He could also teleport away, which was quite annoying, but anytime he spoke, which was often, I could actually follow the sound and stab him even more. And eventually, he fell to my axes, and I drained his V-Blood. We got him.
Yes, just like that.
Dude, chill out. Good lord, hear this guy? As I was heading back to my base though, I encountered a caravan. This wagon was surrounded by enemies, but I was able to cut them down fairly quickly. And after opening the chest you can find in the back, I wasn't surprised why there were so many enemies now. Once I was finally back at my base, I constructed the Devourer. This thing reminds me of the Mimic from Dark Souls 3. You put the items in that you don't want, and then he eats them, and spits out the resources. And after that, I also built 2 new grinders to grind down stone into bricks and bones into grave dust. While all of that's being crafted, I was able to upgrade my copper axe to the Merciless Copper Axe, and they look just as cool as they sound. And with them, my gear level was now 31. And I wasn't done there. I was now able to craft the Gravedigger ring from that grave dust and the morning lilies I took with me. This bumped me up to level 34. Anyway, there wasn't much else to do at the base. I was kind of just waiting for stone bricks, but they're gonna take a while. So I left the base to fight more V-Blood bosses. My first fight was with Clive the Firestarter. He was pretty far to the west in this sulfur quarry. Now, I tried something very dumb here and I rushed into the boss fight. I hadn't cleared the way, so I was immediately outnumbered. I actually almost died at one point, so I decided to run away. But once everyone was chill, I headed back into the quarry and played it a little bit more intelligently this time and took out the guards 1 or 2 at a time. Eventually, I had made enough room for me and Clive to actually fight, but somehow I was able to defeat Clive and his minions. With Clive the Firestarter defeated, I was able to mine all of the sulfur in this quarry. Oh, and by the way, from Clive, I learned the alchemy table, which is going to be very important for making potions later in this video. And once all the sulfur was cleared out, I decided to head for another nearby boss. Anyway, this boss was called Pelora the Feywalker. This was one of the closest and most difficult fights I've done so far. With her defeated, I actually noticed in the meadows nearby, there were several flowers that I would need later for potions, like the blood roses and fire blossoms. So I grabbed some of those as well. And from Pelora, I actually learned the growing plots and a minor garlic resistance potion. When I got home, I sorted my chests and threw some copper ore and sulfur ore into the furnaces, along with more stone into the grinders and wood into the sawmills. With all of the resources I've gathered, I was able to upgrade my wooden wall into stone castle ones. And just like that, with all of my walls built, I now had a roof over my head, and it completed that quest. I did it. To start my 8th day, I decided to finally build a waygate at my base, which will let me teleport around the map back home in an instant. Traveling just northwest of my base, I headed to the Shady Merchants camp. Here I spoke with the book merchant and bought 9 new recipe books that I didn't actually have before. As I've mentioned before, I can actually unlock these at the research desk when I get back to my base. Heading back, I wanted to upgrade my ring, and in order to do so, I needed to craft a greater blood essence. You can make these at the blood press by throwing in at least 4 unsullied hearts. And while those were crafting, I upgraded my armor from the Night Stalker set to the Warlock set. The bonuses from each piece is 51 health and 0.6 spell power, and the set bonuses are 6% spell leech for 2 pieces equipped and just 1 gear level for 4 pieces equipped. And by now the greater blood essence was crafted, so I was able to craft and equip the Ring of the Spellweaver, which gives 12.2 spell power and 5% cooldown recovery. With all of this new gear, which I think is the highest I can actually craft at this point, I'm now level 41. And being this strong, I was now more confident to fight more V-Bloods. My first target for today is Finn the Fisherman, who was northeast of my base. Reaching Finn's fishing hole, I just hit him with everything I could. And instead of fighting back, this really chill guy just decided to do some fishing. No, but seriously, his first attack was to use these pufferfish, and luckily for me, they were easy to deal with. But while I was fighting them, Finn also fished out a baby sea serpent. Like, what the heck is that? I dealt with that serpent first and got back to trying to attack Finn. But once again, he fished out even more sea creatures. This time he pulled out piranhas, and they were stronger than the pufferfish, but I was able to get rid of them and fight Finn. He tried pushing me back with his fishing rod attack, and sometimes he'd even try to pimp slap me with a freaking fish. But honestly, I couldn't take that kind of disrespect, so I ended this fight with a flurry of axe swings and drained Finn of his V-Blood. And then from Finn, I unlocked the crafting recipe for a fishing rod. And now I know that might not seem important at the moment, but trust me, it will be later on. For my next boss, I decided to hunt down Kodia the ferocious bear. And after finally reaching the bear's cave, I dove straight into this fight. The first attack, he slammed the ground, causing stalactites to come crashing down in a massive wave, but they did seem easy enough to dodge. His next attack was a pimp slap with his bare hands. See what I did there? Anyway, I kept attacking him with a combination of my 2 spells and the axes. He then decided to roar, which made me slow for some reason, and then he tried charging me. But I kept enough distance to dodge that attack, and before long, this ferocious beast was on the ground. Also, can we just take a second and ask, why was this necessary? Like, why am I sucking his soul out the back? From Kodia, I have now unlocked bear form, but the day wasn't over there, so I decided to track another target. This target is Nikolaos the Fallen. Normally, this is one of the hardest bosses for me to fight. Playing this game, I have died way too many times to this guy, and now I'm gonna get my revenge in this video. Heading into the cemetery, I just ran straight through all of the enemies until I reached the top and decided to turn and fight some of the guys following me. With them taken care of, it was now time to fight Nikolaos. I leapt toward this necromancer, swinging my axes, and after a few hits, he teleported away. Popping back up, he summoned several skeletons to his aid, which was going to get very annoying because they were almost like a shield for the mage, so I needed to get rid of them first. With them taken care of, it was only me and this boss. However, after getting in more hits, he used an attack that I hate with a passion. You see, he shoots out these giant flying skulls in all directions, and they last for a while. And since they also move in a serpentine pattern, they're sometimes hard to dodge. But I was absolutely locked in and didn't let a single one hit me. I continued my assault on Nikolaos, and when he tried using that skull ability, I decided to give him some room and take out his minions. And then finally, I was able to defeat this V-Blood, Nikolaos the Fallen. From this Necromancer, I received a tier 3 Unholy Spell Point, which is basically like an ultimate ability. And I got a new structure called the Library Press. Anyway, with my spell point, I got the Volatile Arachnid, which summons a giant spider to explode on enemies, dealing 250% magic damage. And now, I was on the final boss in Farbane Woods. His name is Quincy the Bandit King. Pretty cool name, I gotta admit. I tracked him here to the bandit stronghold. After defeating the guards outside, I realized I couldn't open these gates normally. Instead, I had to use my newly found bear form to break down the gates. And after clearing out the entire camp and looting every corpse and crate I could find, I was now at the top, facing the king himself. With no hesitation, I used my new ultimate ability. After the first spider exploded and killed Quincy's guards, 2 more smaller spiders popped out, along with 2 skeletons, which was actually really cool to see. The spiders also exploded at his feet, and buying me a few seconds to move out of the way of an attack, the skeletons were also now defeated. The Bandit King blocked my Aftershock ability, and then we charged at each other. After a few good hits, I decided to put some distance between us to use more of my spells. He summoned an ally and tried to charge me, but I was able to dodge both. He then hit me with his shield and used a massive 4-line Aftershock ability similar to mine. Dodging that, he wasn't finished yet. He tried rushing at me 3 different times, but I was able to sidestep each one. With the king now disoriented from his previous attacks for a few seconds, I focused on taking out his ally. He tried one last time to use his Aftershock ability, but again I was able to dodge most of it, taking a little bit of damage while I tried to heal. Closing the gap between us, we just started going blow for blow until I needed to heal again. Then the Bandit King made one final mistake. After trying to charge me 3 times, he was now disoriented, and I hit him with every ability that I had. And after this long battle, it was finally over. With me as the victor, I drained Quincy the Bandit King's V-Blood. And with that, I had technically completed Act 1. And from the king, I earned a tier 3 Chaos spell point, a smithy for crafting iron weapons, a tailoring bench for crafting cloth armor, iron ingots, and Hallowfang battle gear. With my new spell point, I unlocked the Chaos Barrage ultimate ability. Jumping down from the bandit stronghold, I found this weird looking rock. I haven't mentioned this before, but if you mine these rocks, you can find gemstones and gem dust, which are very useful. I went back home and decided to do some building. With no room inside, I built this stone coffin in the grass outside. I then decided now was the time to expand my base again. So in order to expand it, I had to do the unthinkable. I needed to destroy my neighbor, Terry. Terry was a formidable foe, but with my new ultimate ability, it honestly didn't take too long to defeat him. And now with my friend Terry gone, I was now able to safely clear out this area and expand my base. This time, I brought it out another 3 tiles, which was actually a ton of space. With the base now expanded, I did some much needed reorganizing. With that done, I built a servant's coffin to finish my next quest. I had now unlocked a new ability called Dominate Human, which I needed to use to complete this next quest. I headed over to the bandit copper mine next to my base and grabbed this archer. Bringing this archer back to my base, I began this conversion process. This would turn the archer into my own servant, which is really cool actually, because you can use servants to defend your base and send them out on hunts for resources. But to do that, I needed the throne, which I can't exactly build right now. Anyway, I now had to wait about 1 day for this archer to be converted, so we'll be back to check on it later. Next, I built myself a paper press. The way this thing works is you can take the sawdust you acquire from the sawmills and combine that with plant fiber to make paper. And then with 50 paper, I can unlock a new recipe in the research bench. My goal now was to unlock every recipe in the research desk, mostly because I'm just kind of a perfectionist, but also because there's a juicy achievement involved. But this conversion process was too slow for me, so I built a second paper press. I then spent the rest of this day farming stone and copper in the copper mine next door. After coming home with all of that copper and throwing it into my furnaces and the stone into the grinders, I farmed wood to turn into planks and to use the sawdust for paper. After farming wood for a few hours, my servant was finally finished. And with that, my final quest in Farbane Woods was actually over. The next quest I had was to leave this area and explore further out in the world. But my plan was to stay in Farbane for a little while longer to acquire all of the recipes in the research desk, like I had mentioned before, and to also farm loads of resources. I figured doing this now would help me later on. On night 12, I finally learned everything in the research desk and got that juicy achievement. And then I crafted myself every merciless copper weapon. And during this time, I built a vermin nest outside of my base and summoned Nibbles the putrid rat. This was a pretty easy fight, and defeating him gave me the rat form. During these next 8 days, nothing super exciting or interesting really happened. I spent all of my time farming resources like copper, stone, hide, and wood. Pretty much everything available in Farbane, I was farming. I did craft a new set of armor called the Grim Ranger set, which gives 0.4 physical power for each piece, and the set bonus was 8% weapon cooldown recovery for 2 and 1 gear level for 4, but it was still the same level as my current gear. But yeah, other than that, I was just whacking trees and stones, so let's just go ahead and move on. For days 21 through 30, my plan was to finally explore outside of Farbane Woods and hopefully build a new base. I then headed north to Dunley Farmlands. Exploring this new region, I wanted to make my new base somewhat centralized on the map so that I could travel around to different locations faster. I figured I also would want to try to get a base spot that is close to the iron mine, since iron is going to be very important. After a while, I decided on this location here to be my new home. But before I can make this my home, I needed to clear out all of the trees and rocks in the area. While clearing the resources here, I found this iron ore, which I can definitely use later on. Over the next several days, I built my new base, room by room. And once it was all up, I began to furnish each room with their own respective crafting stations. And then it was time to move everything out of the old base into the new. And this took a little while. But finally, it was time to rip down the old base. And with that completed, I headed back to my new home. Back at the new base, I had collected and smelted enough iron to craft several new iron weapons. And yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up these 10 days. I moved everything from the old base to the new, and that was kind of it. Alright, this is my days 21 through 30 base tour. Right at the front here, I've got this like little enclosed garden. Got some blood roses and whatnot. Anyway, at the entrance, you can see I have a ton of lights in here. I like this like bluish color for the fire. I think it's kind of cool. Over here on the first room on the right, I've got my furnace or forge area, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty cool. And then in here across the hall, I have my like tailoring and tannery area. Something you guys are going to notice, most of these rooms are a little empty. It's because I don't have all the structures to really fill these rooms yet. So that'll be something I unlock as we go. Anyway, right here, this is my workshop room. Kind of full, kind of packed. I'll have to figure something out for that room. But anyway, across the hall from that room, we have the alchemy area. Pretty cool little area. I love the flooring. It's one of my favorites for sure. I got my little coffin in the middle, the castle heart, music box. And then in this room, I've got my like paper presses. This is kind of the library. It's got like nice wood paneling. Kind of cool. Looks pretty good to me. A little empty, but we'll get there one day. And then next, for my last room, I have like kind of the crypt. And yeah, it's where my servants will be sleeping. Anyway, yeah, I don't have a lot of carpet options. This is pretty much the only one I had. There's the music box, castle heart, my coffin, the waygate. So yeah, that's my base. Picking up on day 31, it was time to start hunting down V-Bloods again. My first target in this new region would be Beatrice the Tailor. When I found her, it was just some old woman who wasn't really fighting back. She just kind of ran in circles screaming for the guards. So this wasn't going to be good for my public image, but it had to be done. After draining her V-Blood, I was almost ambushed by Jade the Vampire Hunter, who was so much higher than me, she had a skull and no level. So I hid inside of this house as a rat. But in this house, I actually did find one of my new resources for the area called scrolls, which are the better version of paper from Farbane Woods. These scrolls will help me later to unlock new recipes. Continuing to search this village where I had just slain Beatrice, I also found my first new book for the Crimson Templar leggings. Unfortunately, I won't be able to learn this until I unlock the study structure, which is similar to the research desk from before. Oh, and by the way, from Beatrice, I did unlock the loom, hunter's cloak, cloth recipe, and cotton yarn. And before leaving this village, I brought a horse back with me, since they seem to be a lot faster than my wolf form. On my way back home, I stopped at this cotton farm, since I would need this to make cotton yarn later. But while I was in here, I was being plagued by a new debuff called garlic exposure. I also grabbed these sunflowers, which I wasn't sure what they were going to do, but who cares, they look cool. Back at my base, I built 2 new looms and threw in my cotton to be made into cotton yarn, which I was going to need to build the new tailoring bench. With enough cotton yarn made, I built this tailoring bench, and in it, I found the recipes to craft Hollow Fang armor, which I had gotten from Quincy the Bandit King. So yeah, so with my current equipment, I am able to go fight this guy, Vince the Frostbringer. Now, since I've played this game before, I've tried this boss a couple of times, like fighting her. She is the most annoying boss, unless I'm over leveled compared to her. So I'm just gonna avoid her. I don't really think I need Tristan right now. I mean, this ability right here is a good ability, but I don't really need that. This lady's kind of like whatever. She does have the study though, and I do need that study. I do need that. I need to get a little stronger though. That's the issue. I need to get a little stronger. Oh, right. Leandra the Shadow Priestess. This is where I get my next necklace upgrade. And then this thing is really useful. I really do need this. I really need this study. I'm just kind of waiting on the armor. I mean, yeah, why not? Let's go try to fight Vincent. And with that, I set off to find my next boss. After a quick search, I was able to find Vincent the Frostbringer. Oh god. Oh, I'm frozen. Oh man, that is a really annoying attack. Okay, Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, that was close. I gotta wait. I need okay, I have it. No, I'm frozen. Oh god. Whew. Okay, that was close. Oh, that hurts. That really hurts. Oh, I'm frozen. Oh, and I'm about to burn. Oh god, oh god, oh god. Oh my god. Okay, well that wasn't my best try, so we're definitely gonna go back for some revenge. Reaching Vincent for the second time now, I was ready to annihilate this frosty boy. I changed my strategy this time, since the first time I was trying to play it more passively, but this time I was going to press the attack. And doing that seemed to work very well, because I was able to defeat this V-Blood. From Vincent, I received the prison cell structure and reinforced planks recipes, both of which would be extremely important to my success here in Dunley Farmlands. And once I was back home, it was finally time to upgrade my armor. With the extra yarn, I even crafted the Hunter's Cloak because it increases my max health, sun, garlic, and silver resistances. Oh yeah, I should probably explain something which I haven't done before, and I really do apologize for that. To be fair, I haven't really gotten many of them, except for that one, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so I have these gems. This one is a jewel tier 1. So these like jewels are for increasing, you know, your spells. So this specific jewel, Pandemonious Abyss, for the Aftershock ability, increases projectile range by 17%. So basically, my Aftershock ability can go a little further, which is kind of cool. So I'm gonna equip that. And by now my armor was finished crafting, and with all of it equipped, I was level 47, so I could go fight my next V-Blood. Reaching Maja the Dark Servant, my next V-Blood target, I broke through her desk and started my attack. This mage tried hitting me with some sort of paper magic, which seemed really cool, but it was easy enough to dodge. I knew from my past experiences here I needed to be relentless with my attacks, so I couldn't let this dark savant get too far. One of her abilities is summoning these little minions on the ground, and if I remember correctly with them, she can actually activate a heal to get her health back. So to avoid that, I continued attacking her and the minions at the same time. And after a while of this onslaught, she was defeated. And from this V-Blood, I had unlocked the study, which I mentioned earlier, which was like the research desk from the beginning, but with new recipes to help me level up here in Dunley Farmlands. I was also now able to craft scrolls to unlock even more recipes. Next, I wanted to defeat another boss, so I headed for this one called Leandra the Shadow Priestess. Before I could fight this priestess, I needed to first battle through her guards. I'm just gonna hit her right in the face with my ult. What was that? What is this? Okay, her enemies are actually really easy to defeat because they're all like one hit basically. Come here, you. Yes. Okay, yeah, see? I got it. I'm on it, dude. I'm so on it. Yeah. GG. GG. Alright, what did we get? So we got Unholy Tier 1 Spell Point, Artisan Table for Jeweler's Chamber. That requires Greater Blood Essence. Scourge Stone Pendant, that's my next necklace upgrade. Scourge Stone, which I'm assuming I'm going to need for this pendant, so that's good. And then Dust Collar. Now this is actually super awesome. This will be great for imprisoning people, as weird as that might sound. Summon a swarm of bats to transport a subdued human back to the nearest unoccupied prison cell within your realm. So if I transport them back to a prison cell, I can actually get them out of there and put them in a servant's coffin. Also, I could just leave them in the prison cell if I want to use them for blood. So yeah, pretty huge boss fights to get done today, I'm not gonna lie. And when I got back to base, I noticed this patrol of guards, and I knew that I needed new servants to do my bidding in this world. The only one I wanted was this giant guard called the Militia Veteran, whose power level was 54, which was way higher than mine. Oh, please, 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 please. I gotta heal. Oh, perfect. Subdue, subdue. It worked! Oh my god! Oh my god, I honestly can't believe it. I got a big guy. Look at this dude. He's huge! And he's 54. He is higher than me. Okay. Alright, yeah, this is good. This is actually really good. Come with me, buddy. Alright, so let's see what we can craft. Which takes reinforced planks. That's like the hardest thing on there to get. And then in here, I've got my prison cells. So I could start building those. Oh, that also takes, ooh, reinforced planks. Okay. In order to craft any of these structures, I was going to need reinforced planks. And luckily for me, Vincent the V-Blood, who killed me the other day, actually gave me the recipe to craft them. So at my sawmills, I put in iron ingots and wooden planks, which would make the reinforced planks I needed so badly. Time to study. Yes, awesome. I also built this artisan table where I could craft new jewelry upgrades. And that's exactly what I did by making this Scourge Stone pendant. With the new additional 3 levels from the pendant, I was actually level 50, but I wasn't done there. So I decided to upgrade my new pendant to the Pendant of the Dusk Watcher, which increased my spell power and weapon attack speed. And with that, I was actually now level 53. After all of this crafting, I was getting a little bit worried about my iron supply, so I headed into the Haunted Iron Mine to do some farming. But while I was minding my own business farming iron, this V-Blood, Meredith the Bright Archer, at level 50, decided to attack me. And of course, as a rising vampire lord in the world, I couldn't let that stand. This was such an intense fight. I was almost dead for most of it, actually. She was a very accurate archer, and those attacks dealt massive damage. Plus, she could summon these 2 guys with shields. She could just also heal anytime I did damage to them. But I wasn't going to let this be the end of me. So I locked in, continued dodging as much as possible, and then finally Meredith was defeated. And from her I learned the Holy Resistance Potion recipe. Heading further into the mines, farming loads and loads of iron, I eventually came across Krieg the Undead General. Since I was about 6 levels higher, this fight was definitely a little one-sided, but I didn't want to get a big head and get taken out. So I made sure to dodge as many of his abilities as I could. I also knew to not attack him when he has this shield up, because it actually will summon allies to his aid when attacked. The only thing I couldn't dodge was this really annoying chain grab attack, but when he did this, it let me get close enough to hit him with my axes repeatedly. On day 35, I brought home all of the iron from the mines and tossed it into my furnaces. And now the only other upgrades I needed to become even stronger relied on finding recipe books or gathering more scrolls. So I headed out for the rest of the day to farm for both. And at the end of the night, I came across Christina the Sun Priestess, and since I'm almost 10 levels higher than her, I decided now was a good time to fight. Thank goodness I was so much higher, because normally this lady beats me into the ground, but this time the roles were actually reversed. But anyway, from her I learned how to craft wool thread and a silver thread bag. And then starting off my 36th day, I was clearing Dawnbreak Village, which is where I had fought Beatrice the Tailor from before. Anyway, at the church on the hill in this village, I found this nun who had 100% blood quality for the scholar blood type. I knew I had to do everything in my power to bring her back to my base. Let's see if I can get her. Successfully charm a human that has 100% blood quality. Let's go, dude. Oh my god, I can't believe I did it. Oh, I have to be careful. I need to get this. Oh wait, you know what? Look, check this out. I've got this. Yo, that's so cool. Anyway, back at my base, I constructed a throne. Cool. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Look at me sitting on the throne. Oh, I should send them here because I need those scrolls. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna add. Can he do it? Success chance, 0%. Okay. All right, so she has full health now. So let's blood potion. Oh, extract blood from a prisoner. And while I was here, I also upgraded my castle heart to level 3, which actually completed my current quest. Should we drink some scholarly blood? Ooh. Oh, look at this. Drink blood from 100% blood quality source. Wow. 10 to 20% increased spell power. 10 to 20% increased spell cooldown. 5 to 10% spell life leech. 15% chance to reset spell cooldown on cast. Whoa, okay, that's really good. Boost all above effects by 25%? Dude, that's really strong if I had the armor to really back it up. I decided today I would go after this absolute unit called the Frost Maw, the Mountain Terror. In order to reach it though, I had to travel to the Hallowed Mountains, which also gave me an achievement. Oh, there he is. There's the guy we're here for, so... Oh my god. Oh god. What is this? Can this end, please? Uh-oh. Oh yeah, I knew that was gonna hurt. Oh god. What is that? Oh, Jesus. Frost breath. Oh my god, I'm quadruple frozen. There we go. From the beast, I learned how to craft thick leather and the mountain peak bag, but that didn't satiate my thirst for blood, so I actually tracked down Tristan the vampire hunter. Oh god. Oh Jesus. Oh god, okay, I've never seen that. That is crazy work. Ah. Oh, that hurts. Him being in the fire definitely sucks. Oh, yes!
I won't be the last.
That's what I'm talking about. From Tristan, I received a tier 3 blood spell point, a new vampire power called Blood Hunger, which I haven't even used yet, but it does let me see the blood quality of all creatures and enemies in an area. I also learned another way to craft greater blood essences, and I learned the Great Sword weapon. For today, I wanted to head out and continue to farm resources, and maybe take out some V-Bloods, since realistically, the rest of the bosses under Chapter 2, besides the main one, weren't going to give me necessary upgrades. They were mostly just additional weapons, spells, and decor. Oh my god, okay. I'm sorry, but you have really good blood. Go ahead and head back home, buddy. Help. Oh, it's this guy. Oh, free cast. That's what that was. Oh. Where did he go? Let's go, dude. Come here, you. You're not getting away this time. Yep. From this Bane, the Shadowblade V-Blood, I learned the human form, which is another vampire power similar to my wolf and bear forms. And this one will let me move among the humans without them being suspicious. Alright, let's take a sip. Give me some of that blood. Thank you. Thank you. Since my prison cells were now full and I don't believe I had actually shown me originally making these two, I figured now I could show the 4 new ones that I've built for more blood bags. Anyway, for the rest of the day, I headed out to farm more resources and scrolls. 30%, whoa, 30% increased resource yield. Whoa, that's huge. Increased damage against resource objects, increased mount gallop speed. Chance to instantly destroy a resource node and trigger a burst of speed. No! Oh my god. On day 40, I had returned home with a few scrolls and unlocked the tailor's flooring, so I installed it into my tailoring room. And then I wanted to go and spend my silver coins at the local farmer's market. But I couldn't because I needed my new Mountain Peak bag for the silver resistance. To make this bag, I first needed thick leather, which I can make by combining thick hide and oil in a tannery. And while that was crafting, I wanted to try out my new throne. Send them there. Oh, I can put 2 people on it. Alfred, go get him. Whoa, 23 hours. Anyway, by now my Mountain Peak bag was finally finished crafting, so I could now head down to the market in this area to buy more books. All right, so this one gives us 13, so this is basically double what I have. Whoa, hell yeah, that's actually sick. Let's see, can I carry it? Oh, it does do some damage. Can I be in human form? Okay, I can be in human form, and it really doesn't hurt that bad. All right, let's go check this out. Let's go check this village out. Human form. See what they've got. Oh, don't mind me. Oh, whoops. Oh, how crazy would it be if I saw a freaking 100% blood type in here? 100% blood quality. Okay. Whoa, I mean that. Okay, I will say it is a lot more expensive up here for stuff, but that is not bad at all. I just bought what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new books of things that I didn't have. On day 42, I crafted the 3 out of 4 pieces of the Dark Mage's armor, which brought my power level up from 53 to 57. Now, unfortunately, I haven't unlocked the gloves yet from the study, so I had to wait to finish this set of armor. Also, I had taken a break in between, so by now my servant Alfred had returned from a hunt and brought back a huge haul of resources. And then I decided to send him back out on another hunt to the nearby Dawnbreak village to collect even more scrolls for me. Over the next several days, that is what my main focus was going to be, in order to unlock every recipe in the study, similar to what I did with the research desk. I also made myself a pair of these slashers and upgraded them to the Merciless Iron Slashers, which were 3 levels higher than my current regular iron axes, since I didn't have the recipe for Merciless Iron Axes yet. During the next several days, I took the time and explored almost all of Dunley farmlands and cleared out every location that I could find. I made it a point to ignore any of the V-Bloods I might have come across while farming for scrolls, because I wanted to just be stronger and fully geared before finishing the rest of the Chapter 2 bosses. And something interesting I found while farming was this level 20 Sundering Stonebreaker weapon. Unfortunately, I couldn't use it because it was shattered, but if I found these radium alloys, maybe we can repair it in the future. At some point, I had unlocked the library flooring, so I installed it into my library, which would help get the costs of crafting down, and that was going to help this process immensely. By day 46, I was going a little crazy from farming all of these scrolls, so to deal with it in a healthy way, I went to the farmer's market next to my base, and when I realized this merchant only had 1 book that I didn't own, which was for a carpet collection, I therapeutically decimated the entire town. Now, I don't know if this was maybe a pro strategy or something, but when I got back home, I used the scrolls from destroying that place, along with all the ones that I had been saving anyway, and I unlocked several new recipes, including the gloves that I needed for my last piece of armor, and the merciless iron axes that I had wanted. On day 47, I crafted sets of armor for all of my servants so that I could send them all out on their own hunts to hopefully expedite this process of farming for scrolls. And for me, with my full set of armor finally completed, I was now level 61. I did send out another 2 servants to hunt for more scrolls along with Alfred. On day 50, I only had 6 more recipes to unlock in the study. It was so close, and by now I had a really good strategy and path picked out, which was to clear this place called Dawnbreak Village, and then drop my loot back off at base and head to Mosswick Village, and from there I would go to Dunley Monastery. And from there, I would just head home to drop off the loot. Along the way, I'd clear any camps or groups of enemies to boost my efficiency, and then it was just a simple rinse and repeat. For days 51 and 52, I was still just trying to grind enough scrolls to finish unlocking all of the recipes in the study, so nothing else important really happened here. And then finally, after so many days, like 10 or 11 days, I was finally finished unlocking all of the recipes in the study on day 53. And I was so glad because now I could actually continue making more progress and fighting more bosses. To end this day, I made my way towards this V-Blood called Grethel the Glassblower. She was held up in this quartz quarry, and before I could get to her, I needed to clear out the enemies. And I also wanted the quartz, since I could smelt it into glass, so I farmed a bit of that as well. After clearing the entire quarry of enemies and looting it, it was time to face Grethel. This would be my first V-Blood fight since day 38, where I fought the Shadow Blade, so hopefully this fight will be just as easy.
These arms aren't just for crafting.
Hey yo, what does that even mean? Oh god, she's blowing me. Got her. Oh, ow. They hit me on the way back. And I wasn't done there, so I decided to head south to fight another V-Blood named Terra, the Geomancer. Alright, uh-oh, she's summoning little ones. Oh, we need to take them out first, it looks like. Oh, that's annoying. It's kind of easy to dodge. She's doing it again. Summon some more guys, why don't you? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, alright, she's not kidding around now. She's taking this fight more seriously. Ow. Oh, God, okay. Ow. That's right, that's right. Oh, I knew that was coming. Boosh. There we go. Okay, and then from her, illusion spell tier 3, gem cutting table, the siege golem stone, regular gems, and obsidian. And with her defeated, I had a new plan. I wanted to complete chapter 2 by day 60 or sooner if I keep going at this rate. This means I have 6 more days to find all 5 of these bosses and defeat them, because by now we're more than halfway through this challenge, but there are still 3 more chapters of bosses to defeat. And this game gets so much harder the farther we go in. So let's go fight another boss. Me and my deer hat and her and her guns. Let's do this. Oh, she throws caltrops like that guy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ow. Stun. Oh, God. Silenced. Oh, Jesus. She plants bombs. Ow. Oh, no. I got way too cocky. I was about to defeat her. I got way too much of a big head. This is what happens when you're over leveled, man. You think you can just take on the world? And then the world takes you on. Well, that didn't go as planned. Let's try that again. All right, here we go. Let's do this again. Okay, she's way better at dodging now. Oh, come on. She's so good at dodging. Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, my God, I got her. Okay, that was close. From her, I got another tier 2 chaos spell point. I got an advanced blood press, a primal blood essence, and pistols. I can't wait. The pistols are actually so fun. With Jade defeated, I moved on to my next target, Raziel the Shepherd. I knew exactly where he was, since over the last several days, I had seen him while I was farming for scrolls here at Dunley Monastery. I mean, that's kind of an easy ability to dodge. Oh my God, he summons down a freaking orbital laser. What the heck? This guy's got some crazy moves. Dude's got the power of God on his side, like literally. Your faith wasn't strong enough. So from him, I have a tier 2 blood spell point. I got the jewel crafting table and cordial stairs and doors. With plenty of time left in the day, I headed out of this new area of the map I had never been to, called the Mortium Ruins. I had tracked my next target here. The target was General Elena, the Hollow. Apparently she was a general in the Legion of Noctum, an army created by Dracula. Let's do this. Oh God. Wait, will they fight each other? Wait, why are they not fighting each other? They should be fighting everyone but me. Oh, she's almost dead. Oh, that hurts. Okay, let's heal. Die! Yes. Is this like the first time someone's mentioned Dracula? I think it is. Frost Tears 2, Altar of Stygian Awakening, Stately Carpets. Okay, great. This wouldn't be the only V-Blood in Dracula's army I was going to fight though. In fact, immediately after, I found another one of Dracula's generals, not too far from here. Oh God. I need to kill this thing. I'm about to do something cool, I think. Oh, yup. Throwing it right at him. Whack him, whack him, whack him. Oh, here we go. Ultimate, ultimate. Oh, Jesus. What? Oh, no. Jeez. All right, let's duke it out, dude. All right, I take it back. I'm just going to wail you. I'm just going to smite you. Respected officer within the ranks of the Church of Luminance, Cassius served as a powerful paladin who led a troop tasked with hunting down Dracula himself. His mission ended in failure, overpowered by the immortal king and forced into servitude. With the dark influence of his sentient blade, Nightfall Edge, affecting his mind, Cassius now serves as a loyal general for the Legion of Noctum. I don't know why I had never read any of these V-Bloods backstories, but this one was so interesting I decided I wanted to read them all before I complete the game. Anyway, General Cassius wasn't the last V-Blood under Chapter 2. There was still one more. Octavian the Militia Captain, and once again, because of all of the farming I had done, I knew exactly where to find this boss. Let's do this. Oh, Jesus, okay. Oh, jeez. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what is happening? What is happening? What is this? Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Come on, come on, come on. Oh. Oh. Okay, that was kind of annoying. Well fought, the militia captain. Well fought. Act 2 completed. From him, I now have a tier 3 storm spell point, an ancestral forge, a wide castle entrance, and equipment storage. That's pretty useful. That was it. I have completed all of chapter 2 and unlocked a lot of new useful structures. But back at my base, if I wanted to build these new structures, I needed to expand my base ever so slightly and add extra rooms. And that's exactly what I did. I had to clear out the area for this expansion, but once that was taken care of, I built these 2 new rooms. They were kind of small, but I didn't really need any huge rooms for what I was going to be putting in here. I moved my prison cells to one of the new smaller rooms, and then I moved the servant coffins as well to the other small room. And in this old room, I added the new jewel crafting table and a gem cutting table as well. I also upgraded my alchemy lab with 2 advanced blood presses, which could make the new primal blood essences I had just unlocked. On day 57, I built the Eye of Mortium and interacted with it. What does this do? Rift incursions? Oh, here we go. West Fortress Ruins. Greater Stygian Shards, Jewel, Ancestral Weapon. Oh, that sounds good. I mean, I'm definitely not high. Yeah, level 80 plus. No thanks. Anyway, with that built, I completed another quest. I also made this Altar of Stygian Awakening, but I have no clue what it's for right now. So to progress further, I needed to fight another V-Blood. My next target under chapter 3, by the way, is Ziva the Engineer. Tracking down this boss brought me to a new area known as Gloomrot South. And the first enemies I encountered here were these little rat horrors, which are just mutated rats, and they look terrible. Anyway, venturing further into this new area, I found the camp where Ziva was hiding. As always, I'm going to need to clear this area of all the enemies and the loot. Oh, I don't have one of the Dawn Callers. No. That means I'd have to take him back. I'm gonna have to leave him here. Oh, don't go into that. Oof. Oh, no. No! Oh my god. You gotta be freaking kidding me. That was pretty tragic to lose a 100% blood quality worker. But anyway, I was here for the boss, so let's get to it. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my Jesus. Oh my god. Okay, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Uh-oh. Oh no, 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 no. Oh god. Oh no, and now she has turrets everywhere. Oh no. Good lord, good lord, good lord, good lord. Oh my god. Oh my god, she has a machine gun. Oh, please don't break. Please don't break. Please don't move. Please don't move. Uh-oh. Oh. Oh. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Jesus. That was super annoying. I was so scared, dude. I was really locked in there at the end. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe I survived it. Well, there we go. I got the radium alloy, the sludge-filled canister, the fabricator, and a storm spell point. Back at my base, I built this Stygian summoning circle, which I assume will be more useful later on. I did also make the fabricator in my forge room, and this thing would be good for crafting sludge-filled canisters and a lot of other useful items, but those will come later. Combining glass, iron, and this mutant grease that I had gotten from those little mutated rats, I can make these canisters. Taking those canisters and combining them in a furnace with some tech scrap, which I had been getting from destroying crates and enemies in the Gloomrot area, and some sulfur, I could now make radium alloy. And with this alloy, I could also now make this ancestral forge. With my new forge, I was able to do this. Whoa! Reforge a shattered weapon at the ancestral forge. This is gonna be cool. Valiant long blade. 4.4% movement speed, 9.1% weapon attack speed. Storm infused. Hits inflict static. Epic. Chaos infused. Hits inflict ignite. Yes. Oh, I love that. That's huge. Okay. With these new weapons, I was now level 63, and this opened up the opportunity to fight even more bosses. So this guy was going to be my next target, and eventually I made it all of the way up here to the Cursed Forest. And after I found Ben, the old wanderer, this happened. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. That's what I mean. This area is hard. And that wasn't going to be the last time I died here either. Oh no, it's gonna hurt. Oh, yep. Just wail on him. Wail on this old... Oh, that was a good combo by them. Come here, you. Yes. Oh my gosh. That was wicked annoying. Great. So I got this, the Shroud of the Forest, Spell Point, Pristine Leather, Shroud of the Forest. Cool. On day 60, I was back at my base and was able to make the Shroud of the Forest. Wait, subdue a horse using dominate mount? Roach! Oh, Roach! You look awesome! Dude! Recall and revive companion. Recall your companion, teleporting it to your location. This action also revives and heals your companion if it is perished. So he can't die. Unless I release him. Oh my god, Roach, you get to live forever, buddy! Congratulations! And by nighttime on day 60, there was a blood moon. These blood moons, which I haven't explained until now, give me great buffs like a 20% increase on my blood type and 10% movement speed. So not wanting to waste this opportunity, I decided to head out to Gloomrot again and fight a new V-Blood named Domina the Blade Dancer. Oh, I can't believe I beat her. That was close. That was really close. After this intense battle, I spent the rest of this night clearing the entire village for the resources. I just spent the last 10 days in game time recording, working on some new big project, and basically what happened was my computer crashed out. Because it crashed out, when I got back on and I checked the recording is just dog. It's just trash. It's terrible. So unfortunately, I'm not able to show you guys all the work that I did on this new project that I'm about to show you. Unfortunately, this is where the old base was, and this is Roach. I forgot to bring him. I really should have brought him. Anyway, so that's the old base location. I am now all the way up here in the northern part of the Cursed Forest, and yeah, I built my new base up here. So I'm going to show you guys that. That is the new project that I've been working on. So it is daytime, so we got to be a little careful here. But yeah, so this is my little like kind of garden area. I don't know, I've never built anything like this, so I thought I'd have a little fun with it and just see where it takes me. So yeah, so this is like the little entryway to my actual base. And then over here we have the kind of actual useful stuff like the growing plots. So we have, this is a 6x3, or is it 5x3? 5x3, so yeah, 15 on this side, which is not bad. Obviously, I have my waygate here, my fast travel teleporter, whatever. And then through these nice, cool hedge statues, I have my little like patio outside area where you can like come, sit down, have a drink, have a nice iced tea, just hang out. And then inside the base, we've got this. So yeah, this is my little entryway. So anyway, first room on the left, of course, we have our forge. It's pretty much almost the exact same layout as I had before. Anyway, moving on from there, I have my workshop room, music box, Eye of Mortium, and then here's my throne, like in the middle of the entire castle. I think it's really cool. Over here, though, I've got my tailoring room, obviously tailoring bench and all the looms and the tanneries and all that good stuff. I did lose my servants because I didn't use the castle heart relocation, or the castle relocation heart, sorry. I've tried using these things, I just don't love them. I think they're kind of annoying to use. So I built this whole thing from scratch with my other base still up, but I guess you can't move servants, or maybe you can and I'm just dumb, but I had to get rid of them. So I got rid of all those guys. We'll get them back, it won't take long. They were really easy to get. But anyway, this is my alchemy room. Got the advanced blood presses in here, and yeah, pretty cool. And down here, this is my jewelry crafting room. Lots of storage. I usually keep the storages at the front of the entryways, so of the rooms. So, and then in here's my library. Obviously, we've got the full study done. And then in here, I have my crypt. So this is where my coffin is. This is where my servant coffins are. Anyway, and then for our last room, we have back here the prison room. This is one of the few rooms that have actually kind of changed and I've expanded. We have a much bigger room. We can fit 10 blood blood servants in here, blood bags. Yeah, so I should be ready to go and continue making progress. On day 71, I headed back into Gloomrot to hunt down Angrum the Purifier. This fight was kind of silly because I ended up letting the mutants do most of the work, since they seemed more upset than I was. It looked like Angrum was using chaos magic, shooting a chaos volley at me and the mutants. But backed into a corner, I hit Angrum with everything that I could. And in the end, I'm pretty sure I wasn't even the one to deal the final blow, but that's okay. From Angrum, I acquired another tier 3 chaos spell point, Dawnthorn Regalia, and Irradiant Gruel, which is an interesting consumable that I believe increases the blood quality of a captured person, but has a very high chance of just turning them into a mutant. Okay, now since I wanted to try and finish chapter 4 sooner rather than later, I tracked down another V-Blood named Ungora the Spider Queen. I was getting major Shelob vibes from this fight, but anyway, this fight was not easy. Ungora would use this huge AoE attack, which was like a slam, and it would deal big damage, so I needed to try and avoid staying close to her for too long. And the entire time our fight went on, she summoned more and more of these smaller spiders to attack me. And then this massive spider could shoot this massive poison ball in an area which dealt damage, but also split into smaller poisonous balls, dealing even more damage. The Queen of Spiders had this huge like sweep attack, which I knew I needed to avoid, just like all of the other attacks if I could. But something making it harder to dodge were these little webs on the ground, which slowed me down significantly. Oh, and to top it all off, Shelob here would shoot out small poison balls in a cone spread towards me, and she would shoot a ton of these, so she was not going down without a fight. And then finally, with one last slam, she ended my entire existence. So yeah, this wasn't going to be easy, but I refused to give up. So I headed right back to Ungora's cave. This time I was more determined than ever, and with all of the knowledge of her attacks, I knew I could win this. So time for the next V-Blood. This guy was in a nearby village in the Cursed Forest. We're both level 63, so I think this fight should be pretty even. When I found Falrot the Soul Taker in this village, I immediately hit him with all of my spells to try and lower his health before we actually started fighting. I tried using my pistols, but this V-Blood wasn't alone and summoned several allies to his aid. So I needed to change my strategy and use my sword instead, since it feels better for taking out groups of enemies. From this boss, I acquired a tier 2 unholy spell point and the recipe for crafting something called spectral dust, and that will definitely be useful for upgrading my equipment soon. And for my next V-Blood boss, I tracked down Albert the Duke of Balaton. Weirdly enough, this beastly frog spit out another frog to help him in this fight. After fighting back and forth for a few minutes, Albert here decided to eat me, but I must not taste very good because he just spit me right back up. Not wanting to be eaten a second time, I dodged his attack and then dealt the final blow. And from Albert, I learned frog form, which is very interesting for a vampire, and coining for making copper, silver, and these things called Gold Sun coins. For day 74, I headed back south to Gracefall Village, where I found a village full of werewolves. In this village, I found my next V-Blood named Wilfred the Village Elder. This fight was fairly simple, since as a werewolf, Wilfred had almost all of the same attacks as a wolf, kind of like Alpha from day 2. But one thing he did do differently was letting out all of these villagers, and when he was low health, he would ignore me, go straight for one of them, and just eat them to heal himself. It was pretty brutal to watch. Okay, so with that V-Blood defeated, I had one more under chapter 4 to defeat. The last boss was named Cyril the Cursed Smith. This boss would bang on his anvil and summon several phantom weapons, which would circle him and attack me on their own. I tried my best to take them out, but sometimes I just had such a good shot on Cyril, I knew I had to take it when I could. And surprisingly, at level 65, this fight was easy enough. But with his defeat, I learned some very important structures. I got the anvil, where I can eventually build new weapons, and the advanced forge, which was just so much better than the regular ones. And finally, I learned the recipe for the dark silver ingots. And back at my base, I built this new advanced furnace with all of this ghost crystal that I had gathered while fighting bosses in the Cursed Forest. I could now combine it with scourge stones in a grinder to make spectral dust, which is what I needed to build the anvil. With enough spectral dust made, I then built the anvil and reorganized my entire forge area. I also had realized at this time that I had unlocked a new set of armor, which takes silk, which I had also just unlocked. So I started crafting that first. Starting day 75, I crafted my full new set of Dawnthorn armor. In order to make any more progress, I had to head to a new location on the map called Silverlight Hills. Oh, and to gauge how difficult this area is, here's a clip. This area is one of the hardest in my opinion and definitely the most annoying, since enemies now have actual guns instead of just bows and arrows, along with a ton of holy magic. Fun stuff for a vampire basically. Now I was all the way over here in Silverlight Hills for this resource right here, silver ore. With it, I can make my dark silver ingots to make a new set of weapons. I was now back home. I crafted a brand new pair of dark silver axes at level 23. Which brought me up to a very impressive level 70. And by nighttime, there was a blood moon, so not wanting to waste it, I decided to head back out to Silverlight Hills and fight a V-Blood named Baron du Beauchamp de Sommelier. This guy is definitely French, so we're gonna need to take him out. And by the way, I was right. He's definitely French. Anyway, starting my attack with some big damage, he summoned wine barrels to try and flatten me. He kept doing this, so I kept destroying them since I couldn't see any other way around them or to dodge them. Honestly, with the whole barrel attack, I kept forgetting this guy was even here sometimes. I was just annihilating him with spells the whole time. But from this V-Blood, I acquired the Blood Merlot, which makes a lot of sense, and the Blood Merlot amulet, which would be a nice upgrade for me. For day 77, I decided to continue hunting another V-Blood, since I still had the Blood Moon along with all of my potions. So I headed to the silver mine here in Silverlight Hills and found Sir Magnus the Overseer. This guy was huge. I thought I could get around him because someone this big must be slow, right? Well, not exactly. He hit me with a huge AoE attack, knocking me back away from him. This gave me a perfect opportunity to hit him with my spells, except it also gave him the perfect opportunity to impale me with this giant halberd. Flinging me away like an insect, I kept my distance, and I tried using more spells on him, except being an ice magic user, he then just summoned these huge blocks of ice to block my attack. So I just said screw it and went in close and hit this giant knight with all of my abilities and weapons, and eventually it worked. He was defeated. Even after such an epic fight, the only useful thing I got from this guy was this Phantom Veil cloak, which back at my base, I crafted. And for my next upgrade, I had to craft this Blood Merlot from a blood source combined with sacred grapes in a glass bottle. Combining my new Blood Merlot, dark silver ingots, and radium alloy, I was now able to make the Blood Merlot amulet, bringing me up to level 74. Okay, for day 78, I had a new boss that I needed to fight to continue making upgrades. This guy, Henry Blackbrew the Doctor, had the structure called the Athenaeum or something, I don't really know how to pronounce it, but all I know is that I need this thing. This new structure was similar to the research desk and study. I could learn new recipes from it to continue making upgrades that I think will put me into the level 80 area. Finding the doctor at Transcendum Labs, I actually think this is one of the most annoying bosses if you aren't well equipped. So yeah, it's kind of hard, but since I was at his level, it definitely made this a more feasible challenge. Back at my base after defeating the doctor, I was now able to build the Athenaeum. I spent some time in Silverlight Hills farming for more schematics, which are the paper-like resources that I need for the Athenaeum to unlock even more recipes. To unlock all 44 of these crafting recipes, it's going to take me 4,400 schematics. And at this point, I don't even think there would be a point to really send out hunters for resources because hunts usually take 24 hours to complete. But on top of that, I will need to find new servants, farm enough resources to make their gear, craft said gear, and then send them out. So I think I'm gonna have to do all of this by hand. And on day 79 and 80, I really started farming those schematics that I needed in order to make more upgrades. At the start of day 81, I finally got around to planting my herbs in my new garden area. I then needed to head out for the day to farm for more schematics, since I really wanted to acquire every recipe from the Athenaeum. For day 82, I found my way to this massive city, and I figured clearing this area would get me a ton of schematics. So while I was here, I broke anything that I could find. I looted every house and chest and fought every enemy in order to get as many schematics as possible. For day 83, I turned into my human form and talked to the city book vendor and bought 2 new books since that was all I could afford at the moment. And by the end of the day, I headed home since my inventory was completely filled. And not a lot happened on day 84, but I did come back to the city and spoke with the book merchant again with more coins this time and bought another 2 books. Day 85, I decided to take a break from farming all of these schematics by fighting a V-Blood. I chose to hunt down Morian the Stormwing Matriarch, who was a massive harpy. I hit her with my ult to really kick off the fight, and it did a decent amount of damage. Not standing for this though, she flew into the sky and sent out her minions to fight me instead. While I was occupied fighting the minions, she decided to come back down and started casting huge chaos spells all around me. I was able to dodge most of these attacks and deal some damage right back to her. At 50% health, she dropped these health orbs at a perfect time because she then casted this huge attack with chaos magic spells circling in a huge area. I really needed to avoid these attacks, and as long as I kept my distance and dodged her magic, I could continue hitting her with my own magic spells. Eventually, my strategy worked. I then headed for another V-Blood boss called Merwin the Elementalist, and she held true to her name by casting loads of different fire, ice, and storm magic spells. She also split into 2 different people, so now I had 2 of them to fight. Luckily for me, this duplicate was very weak, so I took it out first. Just at the end of the fight, she summoned a huge fireball, which followed me around in this field, so I went to where she was and ended this fight with my Chaos Dash ability, which leaves a static clone of me that explodes. On day 86, I headed back to the Cursed Forest for another V-Blood named Matka the Curse Weaver. Oh god, I'm a pig, I'm a pig, I'm a pig. Why am I a pig? Oh my god. What is happening? Oh god, oh Jesus. That is some big damage. Oh, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Oh, that's crap. That's such crap, dude. Oh, Jesus. And after he turned me into a pig one last time, I finished this fight and defeated Matka. To upgrade my amulet, I needed power cores, but to make power cores, I needed charged batteries. So I brought my depleted ones to this location called Thunderstrike Peak, where you can charge up to 40 or 50 batteries at a time, but sadly I only had enough to charge 10. For my 87th day, I decided to track down another V-Blood named Voltatia the Power Master. Now this boss was only 2 levels higher than me, but when I tell you this was the hardest boss fight in my entire 100 days, I'm not kidding. I died more here than I have to any boss before, besides when I first started playing this game. It took me 5 tries to defeat this boss. It was ridiculous, but I refused to give up on this fight. So here's my 5th try. As you can see, this boss does a lot of different stuff. It can split into 2 people, it can go invisible, it can shoot lasers, they put up barriers that repel your attacks, they can summon other allies with similar weapons, and yeah, this was just such a hard battle for me. But like I said, after 5 tries, I finally got it and unlocked the power cores that I had mentioned earlier that I needed to make upgrades with. I headed back to charge more batteries on Thunderstrike Peak. This time I was able to charge 40, which I'm pretty sure is the max anyway. This was also just a huge day for me because I just remembered I could make schematics in the paper press. All I needed to do was combine scrolls and tech scraps. By now, I had saved hundreds of scrolls since I no longer needed them for the study, so I was kind of just hoarding them. And good thing too, because this was going to get me so many recipes in the Athenium. I also was able to now craft power cores in my fabricator by combining radium alloy and the charged batteries I had just gotten. And by nighttime, my paper presses had crafted over 900 schematics for me. And that was huge progress, since I unlocked new sanguine weapons and better armors. Speaking of better armor, I was now able to use these power cores I had just crafted to make myself the Amulet of the Wicked Prophet, giving me another 3 more levels. More spell power, 15% reduced blood drain rate, which is incredible when using 100% quality blood, and 6% spell life leech. For day 89, now that I was finally level 77 with my recent amulet upgrade, I tracked down this V-Blood named Azariel the Sunbringer. This fight wasn't terribly difficult for me. I felt we were fairly evenly matched, but with it more in my favor. I continuously hit him with spells, and knowing that he was also a spellcaster, I decided to dive behind him and hit him more with my axes, and that seemed to work pretty well. He would sometimes summon an ally, so I made it a point to take them out, so they didn't make him any stronger or or let him heal. I should also mention this guy is a terrible priest because he would sometimes teleport himself to someone else's location, putting them into his old location. So sometimes I would just randomly beat up some innocent nun because of him. But from him, I learned the recipe to make gold, and back at my base, I made several bars of gold. For day 90, I upgraded to the advanced looms in order to make the ghost yarn recipe, which I needed to make better armors. After grabbing the resources for it, I also crafted ghost yarn. I then went back to my anvil and made a sanguine sword, since I didn't have the sanguine axes learned yet, but this would put me to level 80, so I wasn't too upset. Man, this day keeps getting better because I was now able to craft 3 out of 4 pieces of the Maleficer set, bringing me up to a modest level 82. For day 91, I continued making more schematics because I was trying really hard to finish my set of armor and to get these sanguine axes. Luckily, I unlocked the axes with my last schematics and built them in my anvil. Still, no full set of armor yet though. And then I finally upgraded my castle heart to level 5 and completed the associated quest. With my new axes crafted, I decided to not hide in my castle for the last few days. So I went out and found this V-Blood named Terrorclaw the Ogre in a frozen cave. This beast was all about frost magic, so I had to try hard and dodge all of its abilities. Otherwise, I'd constantly be frozen in place and would probably die a lot faster. I used these blocks of ice that I had made as cover, only peeking out from behind them to throw my spells at the beast. At one point, this thing had me very low and close to death, but with my well-timed dodges and heals, I was able to just stay alive long enough to defeat the ogre. And with that beast dealt with, I went after another boss called General Valencia the Depraved. After dying the first time and running back, I now knew this boss's abilities, so maybe that would help this time. So with this boss, she had a coffin in the middle that was constantly trying to grab me and pull me into it, and she was also trying to kick me into it because it drains your blood and does a ton of damage, so I was always trying to stay away from her kicks. This second time, I also focused on taking out the coffin, since it also seemed to have a health bar. With it gone, I could now focus solely on this general. Since I had all of my blood this time, I was able to deal a lot more damage, and with that, she was defeated. After fighting this general, I came across something very interesting, and it would essentially change everything I was going to do in my last few days of this challenge, but more on that later. There's a merchant right here. Vampire merchant. Whoa, ancestral. Whoa, 30. He takes greater Stygian shards. My next boss was in this location, known as Dracula's Demise. This guy wasn't Dracula, but he was Lord Styx, the Knight Champion, and he had something very cool that I needed. But before that, we gotta beat him. Uh-oh. What is that? What is that? Oh, chaos magic. I love that. Oh, Jesus. Oh, what are these? Draculan. Okay, they're kind of big guys. That one just healed. Oh, Draculan's a blood type too. That might have been what I was reading. I can't see anything. Where is he? Where is he? Something's flying above me too. Oh, I killed him. Oh, bat form, onyx tear, and a blood key. Mystical amulet providing the bearer entry into Dracula's castle. It's an amulet and it's a key. Produced at the artisan table. Oh, I'm a bat. Let's go, dude. Hold on, let's fly to the Waygate. This is epic. For day 93, I tracked down Gore Crusher the Behemoth, who was in the Cursed Forest. This thing was huge. I started this fight like I always do, and I hit him with everything I could, every spell and weapon ability, and he shrugged it off like it was nothing. This fight was so epic. We were deforesting this entire area. Oh, and I forgot to equip my Shroud of the Forest at the beginning of the fight. So at one point, even with this giant monstrosity in front of me, he disappeared because of the debuff Cursed Forest. But thankfully, I had it on me ready to go. Back at my base, I decided to swap out my 2 low-level tanneries for this new advanced one. I also crafted this Eye of Twilight structure, which showed me the locations of 4 bosses that I could fight. And not a lot happened on day 94 besides farming for even more schematics. On day 95, I brought back all of the schematics I had gathered from the day before, and putting them into the Athenium, I realized I only had enough to learn all but one last recipe. Can you believe that? It's insane to me. day. Thankfully, it was just a decoration, so all of the potions, weapons, and armor I had finally unlocked, including my last piece of armor. Speaking of, I crafted the Maleficer pants, and with them equipped, I was now level 84. Now that my armor was complete, I decided to craft my new servant Alfred 2 a set of armor as well, since I was planning to send him out on hunts soon. For day 96, I ran around Gloomrot, farming for more resources such as tech scrap and batteries. On day 97, I came back to the location of Dracula's demise, where I found these blood crystals that I didn't see the first time I was here. These will be useful later on, but for now, I'm just gonna farm them. After doing some research about those Stygian shards that I needed for that merchant's weapons on day 92, I learned about these rift incursions. At these incursions, you can fight enemies to break these blood crystals. Once you break enough of them, the largest shard in the middle of the area will summon a V-Blood boss from bosses that I've already fought, which was actually really cool. So I was going to need a ton of these shards. Now, there's also two different types of shards, Stygian shards and the greater Stygian shards. So Stygian shards seem to come from the level 57 incursions, so pretty easy, but the greater shards come from level 80 plus incursions, which are much more difficult. So I actually spent my day farming the greater Stygian shards. For my 99th day, I traveled to Dracula's castle garden. I had heard from the research that I had done that you could actually find a lot of greater Stygian shards here, so I spent a lot of time here farming. Anyway, by now I had gathered enough shards to purchase a weapon, so I headed back to the merchant and bought a pair of these axes, which actually came out as a legendary, and I'm not sure if that's rare, but yeah. Back at my base, I decided to make and feed this irradiant gruel to one of my prisoners, and unfortunately I got the unlucky roll of him turning into a mutant. I had also crafted some bat leather and combined it with ghost yarn to make the bat leather bag, and that was pretty much all I did for this day. We finally made it. Day 100. So, to start this day, I made Alfred 2 an upgraded set of armor. The Grim Knight set should suit him nicely. I also made him an amulet of the Blade Master. This new equipment brought his hunt efficiency up to 850. So with that all settled, I sent Alfred 2 into Dracula's castle garden in order to gather me more greater shards. Okay, so for the rest of day 100, I farmed all of the level 1 rift incursions, which were gear level 57 plus, so pretty simple stuff. But this gave me a ton of Stygian shards. Now the unfortunate part of all of this is I obviously am not ready to take on the immortal King Dracula. He's level 90. Right now I'm 85. I still have a few other bosses to defeat as well, and there's still a few more things I want to do in this game, but it's going to require more time. So this isn't a challenge failed to me, but instead it's more of a to be continued.